There's nothing worse than shooting on a sunny day because
clouds.
yeah, so you hope for clouds, and we had clouds almost every day we shot, which is a good thing about Michigan, I guess. I mean, you
So is
hope,
your next film about snow? Because that
yeah,
would be really
no,
good too.
That's even tougher.
that's a real bear.
Really?
Photograph.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a real bear.
We had one scene where Don is asking his soon-to-be estranged wife for the car, and she's standing up to him for the first time. Now, you didn't notice this, but behind you, the sun was moving in and out of clouds, and the rooftops behind you were dark, and then they were light, and it threw off everything. And I had to go frame by frame. It took me a couple of weeks to get that color just right so it didn't deviate on the roof. It was those kinds of scenes, but out of your control.
In spending that much attention to detail, because, you know, again, having taken, you know, film in college, it upsets me with jump cuts, and it upsets me with,
They're
but
distracting.
do most people notice that kind of thing, to spend that kind of time on making sure everything's just...
It was distracting. The idea, the whole purpose of film is to suspend disbelief. And if you catch someone's eye, like the guy didn't have a hat on, now he does, and anything where it takes them out of the reality you're creating, and that roof was distracting because all of a sudden it lit up and it didn't. You have to avoid anything that interferes with disbelief. Even jump cuts, I mean, Tarantino uses them all the time, and if you expect them, it's kind of the verite of what he's doing. And some of the older, some of the new wave directors were doing that too, when they figured out you could pick up a camera and run with it. But anything that distracts you, makes you think you're watching a movie instead of being in the reality with your character, then you got to eliminate those things. Even at the expense of blurring something out or whatever, you want to just take away distractions. That's important.
And what's amazing to me is I can edit a movie and having written it and been on the set and all that, and I say, well, this is not going to be enjoyable at all to watch because I'm going to remember that, oh, we were late that day, or you know, something bad happened. But then when you sit down and watch a scene or you watch the whole movie, it's just amazing how you can come back into that. I don't know if that's like that for actors. I mean, do you feel like, oh, I'm watching myself, or do you say, hey, there's Kenny Wheaton in the movie?
I get into watching the movie. I don't really say, look, I'm watching myself. I kind of look at the whole story, and sometimes I don't even remember what happened that day that we shot. Sometimes you do remember what happened that day that we shot.
Obviously, he was in quite a few of those 8 a.m. beer shots, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 4 a.m. early morning perky shots.
Start mumbling the lines, then you know you're going a little too far.
Yeah. But it's hard, and you have to, you know, and if you write it and direct it, and you know you really love this scene, you bled to get that scene. But as you're when you're on the editor and you look at it and say, you know, this doesn't move the story along, I gotta cut it. It's like tearing up Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's a killer.
You have to do it.
When you guys think of the Blair Witch Project, which was probably the first film I saw where, you know, it seemed like it was just a bunch of kids doing a movie or whatever, and that it's so incredibly well done. Do you strive for things like that, or what did that do in terms of setting the bar for? And that was a relatively small film, wasn't it? I mean, that was
low budget. I personally didn't really like it at all, but
But it gave itself an excuse for having bad production value.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
well, now you got films like Insidious and Paranormal Activity 1 and 2 and different things like that, or that they're using like small budgets, but they're like making millions of dollars. You know, the $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 budget. They make $10–20 million on it. It's crazy.
Well, I think Halloween, the original Halloween movie. I mean, that was. I think they paid Michael Myers like $50 to breathe and just, you know. Right. And how much did that make?
Yeah, it's still making money. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Well, good and money making aren't always the same thing.
Right.
You know, I mean,
quality and
what's a good movie? I guess if you like it, it's a good movie, but it doesn't mean it's, you know, high quality or the acting is great. I mean, I've seen some of these classics from the black and white days where someone like Olivier is acting, and you realize today that would never ever be acceptable. Because you're totally not watching action; you're watching someone recite their lines, and you know, it's the standards change, but it's just, you know, just because it makes money doesn't mean it's good, and just because it doesn't make money doesn't mean it's bad.
Is it frustrating that the scenes take so long to shoot? You know, shot in certain ways, and they have to be shot, you know, the reverse is shot, and you've just got to have a lot of B-roll to work with. You probably shoot more than you actually need, but it's got to be kind of frustrating to do the scene over and over and over again.
From behind the camera, I'm always very optimistic of how much I can shoot in a day. In the back of my mind, I said, we're never going to shoot all this, but on the way to the shoot, the cameraman will be reading the script. He goes, how much of this are we going to shoot today? I said, all of it. He goes, no, we're not. So
setups like that. Yeah, that's what kills you.
yeah, it's just, I mean, especially when you have someone who cares about lighting and cares about lenses, which I can appreciate it all, but I can't appreciate it to the extent that, no, I still see a little tiny shadow, and I'm like, just shoot it. But from the acting standpoint, I mean, do you just get used to it?
You get used to it, but certain scenes, depending on what you're doing, if it's physically demanding or emotionally demanding, take after take, it just takes a lot out of you. It's like being an athlete. You got to be kind of like be an athlete and have that stamina, so to speak.
Well, yeah,
to do it. Yeah.
Well, and we're also talking independent films here. It's
Yeah.
not as though they have crew of 30 people who are working with lighting and sound and cameras, and I mean, that just adds expense. We shot with one camera for everything that we did. So it's not
It's
like
hard to
you
believe,
have
even having worked in television, that you guys could shoot with one
Exactly.
camera and do a whole movie.
And that's
Dual camera screws you up.
Right.
You can't account for that lighting. If you have two cameras, like this is television, you'd light the heck out of it, and that's how it is. But with a movie, you want a certain shadow, and if you have two cameras set, that shadow's not going to be the same for both cameras. So you have to shoot single camera. It's not like you can't afford another camera, as
Right.
we can, but it wouldn't have helped me. Maybe if I had the same camera angle and a close up and a long shot shooting at the same time, fine. Now I watched Truffaut. I was honored to stand on the set after I promised to shut up, and I did. And I watched Truffaut shoot the movie Mississippi Mermaid when he shot the part in Lyon. The local filmmakers, we all kind of got to be there. And there's a scene where Belmondo jumps onto a dumpster, then he scrambles up the side of a building, up one balcony to another, to like the third floor, then he goes in a window. And Truffaut kept saying, encore, encore, encore. And he kept going over and over and over again. And Belmondo just kept flying up the side of the building like a monkey. But he had been a boxer, he was in shape, and he didn't think twice. There was no body double, there was no stunt man. That was Belmondo climbing up that crazy bunch of balconies, So, but I'm sure he got tired at the end of the day. In fact, a bunch of us went to this restaurant where they were, and he didn't look so good. Maybe it was the wine. He just didn't look so good after a while. But that's
He's
that's
probably
what it
afraid of
takes.
heights, and you just
Probably.
realize what he'd been doing all day.
Act like you're not afraid of heights.
Right.
What about the film credits the state gives out? Obviously, to lure business here, to hopefully put some people back to work. But really, the people who could use money to develop their trade would be guys like you guys
How
and
much did you
ladies.
make on that, Jack?
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be there.
None of us got any.
Yeah.
Is that disappointing? Is that?
Expected,
Yeah.
They told us that they were going to cut the budget to minimum of 20 thou. This 4 years ago, and they said just submit it, because I was talking to the film office before that. Submit it as soon as you get this law passes. Submit it, and I did. And they said, well, we have to approve your script and your budget and your diversity sheet. And I said, well, the movie's shot. We've been working on it. You said to go ahead, and we did. So we never saw a penny out of that. And I don't think any independent filmmaker in this area,
No.
you know of anybody?
I mean,
Nobody.
because the floor ended up being $50,000.
Yeah.
And I mean, frankly, Hollywood will go wherever someone will give them money, and you can't blame them, but they're not going to stay here afterwards. Whereas, I mean, I have no plans to leave to California as soon as I become famous, which will probably be never anyways, but
2 weeks.
yeah.
That's a spirit, Jack.
But I mean, you shoot a $100 million movie and you take $40 million of the tax credit and you say, thanks, Michigan, here's some for a hotel, here's some for some restaurants, and but they do most of the post elsewhere.
Yeah, they're not going to use anything here. And it's an unreliable state to shoot in. The weather is such. I mean, even with our little movie, we were trying to shoot a scene, and we're in the middle of winter, and it was a horrible snowstorm, and half the actors couldn't get there. It's like the really pretty girl going out with the nerdy guy who made a lot of money on his .com company, and suddenly it crashes, and she's not going to be going out with him anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened here. It's kind of cute and fun, and Nan had a ball, being with George Clooney and other people in various movies, but I don't
lucky
think
girl.
they're going to stay here.
I have a whole laundry list. Pierce Brosnan, Hugh Jackman, George Clooney. Yeah.
Cool.
I was very thrilled.
Don Cochran.
Don, I'm sorry.
John, you were on my list. I can guarantee you that. Although George Clooney might have to be on my list too. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, it is exciting when you see those people come in. But is it inspiring though to see what life could be like maybe someday down the road when you just snap your fingers and people just run and start setting up and doing what you want them to do and they see your vision?
Well, part of what I got involved with that end of it for was to see how they did it.
Right.
I mean, I was exposed to some of the indie film stuff, and I thought, I want to see how the big guys do it. I want to see how the guys from Hollywood do it. I mean, they say no cameras on set, you can't, approach anybody. I wanted to bring my camera, but I wanted to take pictures of all the equipment they were using and the way they were doing the stunts and things like that. That's what was fun to me. That's what was fascinating. How they direct, what types of things they go for. So I learned more technique from somebody who supposedly has done this a lot, coming into the state, and hopefully can share some of that or bring some of that to some of the local productions now, so that we can get better at doing what we're doing, even if it is an indie film. Even if it's not the big budget type thing that they're coming to make here. We want to do what we do better, because there is a passion there. There's obviously people that are interested in producing a movie of quality, even without the big money.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different kind of filmmaking. Just like if you're Van Gogh living in the south of France and painting and you don't really care if anybody likes your work or not, as opposed to somebody who gets paid to do big billboards, it's not the same art at all. And Ken Burns was here and he gave a nice talk a few years ago, and someone said to him, "Gee, Ken, now that you're becoming famous with your documentaries, going to Hollywood?" And he went, "Hell no." He said, "That would mean everything I've done so far has been garbage, and I was like practicing for the big time." He said that's not the big time for him. And I feel that what we do here is we're not going to get famous at it, and probably not even going to break even on it, but it's there, and we have to do it. It's the art. Mm-hmm. And that's really, if you want to go make zombie movies in Hollywood, where people with guts hanging out of their mouths and all that, great, do it, go for it. But it's not.
My kid would go see it.
Yeah, but that's not the same kind of filmmaking. We don't do that. We have no chariot races in our movie.
Oh, that's cool. But
We'd like to.
Obviously, quality work. Do you feel the same that this is good?
Yeah, I think. I guess it's a mindset you get into that it's not that you don't want to make money or you don't expect to, but you don't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and write, or you don't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and drive an hour and a half because you go, oh man, we're going to make, this is it. This is going to be the film that makes us rich. But when this goes to a few theaters and if it gets into a few festivals and if we sell, a few hundred or 1,000 DVDs and we make $10,000 or $20,000, for most people that's an embarrassment of a flop. But to me, that would say, ooh, now I can make another one. Yeah. That's what my wife
And are
would say
plans already in
anyways.
the works? Are you guys working on the next?
I've got a couple ideas. I haven't started writing anything yet.
We've got a script, we just haven't done anything with it yet. And, I don't know. But you'll probably make one before I do, the next one, because I've got other stuff I'm working on. Yeah, I guess the novel's almost done, though. Well, the first draft is almost done. But then comes, probably, I'd like to shoot Partings, but I don't know if we'll ever get around to it. Partings is a script of interaction, personalities. I use personality theory in our stuff. In fact, Don, his character was right out of the psych manual for sociopath.
Wow. He seems like a natural.
That shows he's such a great actor because he was able to take on the sociopathic characteristics.
Well, the
but
movies
that's where his
look
character came from.
fantastic, and again, award winner here, and one I'm sure on the way, and they look wonderful. And I thank you all for coming out and telling us all about it, and we wish you the best.
Thank you.
And of course, so we thank you for watching as well, and we hope to see you back next time.